now we're going to go into another fun segment we like to do is our ranking segment. We've talked about a lot of the NFL in all of our episodes recently because that's what's kind of the main thing going on. But we're going to go talk about a little bit of NBA right now. So the top 10 power rankings for next season, which is going to be a very interesting season. When they're going to start, how many games they're going to have? Is LeBron going to play the first month and a half?
Our All-Star is going to play the first month and a half that we're just playing in the bubble. Are you going to see Jimmy Butler? Are you going to see Bam Adebayo? Are you going to see all those guys? Are you going to see Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic? Yeah. There's a lot of load management hanging in the ducks right now.
That's why it's tough to do it now, but we wanted to tackle it already.
Exactly.
So you're 10 from 1 again?
Yep.
Okay. Me start you?
I'll kick it off.
Take it away.
At number 10, I got the 2019 champion Raptors. Nick Nurse has proven to be the Sean McVay of the NBA. Nobody really had a lot of expectations for them last year with them losing Kawhi, and they were a top 3 seed in the East. If the team brings back Van Vliet, the team chemistry will be just as good as it's been for the last 2 years. They're not going to skip a beat. And if they wanted to, they could bring back DeRozan.
Yeah. I would really love to see that.
Yeah.
He deserves something like that.
Yeah. So if they want to go that route, they could be a legitimate contender in the East for the 3rd straight year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are kind of pending with this list, but I think more likely than not they're going to try to bring Van Vliet back, and then DeRozan might be a reach, but that's definitely going to be something that they're going to be in the market for.
I think Marcus Gasol and Serge Ibaka are free agents as well.
Yeah,
that's 3 kind of the core guys with Van Vliet.
Yeah,
I think 100% or 99% chance they'll bring back Van Vliet. They have to.
I have enough confidence in Nick Nurse at this point to say that they're probably going to be a top 5 seed in the East, no matter what those guys end up doing, because they're probably going to make moves that are going to have players that are going to be in like good enough positions.
Right.
But they're not going to be nearly as much of a contender if they bring those guys back.
Yeah. But I would like to see, like you said, DeMar DeRozan, because I've always felt bad for him.
Yeah.
He was the Raptors' best player.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets traded, and then they win.
Mm-hmm.
My number 10, I'm gonna go with Portland Trailblazers. I'm a big fan of Damian Lillard. I love the way he plays and I love his attitude. And when they're fully healthy, the Blazers are very tough. Now they got an emergence of your boy Gary Trent Jr., who you liked in your ranking segment from the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
I like when Zach Collins is healthy. Him and Nurkic are very nice big combo. And I mean, who doesn't like Damian Lillard and McCollum as a backcourt?
I wonder if they're going to bring Whiteside and Melo back.
Yeah, because they're both free agents as well.
They're both up for grabs.
They gotta bring back Melo.
I hope they do. I think
he delivered.
Yeah, at the very least, I want either the Trailblazers to bring him back or I want him to go to the Lakers. He deserves to be in a contender right now, and he deserves, after his play in the bubble, I think he deserves a spot on any team.
Yeah, and I think he would like to stay with Portland.
Yeah, I think he said that he felt home in Portland for most of the year.
No, he gelled perfectly.
Yep.
And I think if Gary Trent Jr. takes another step, that's another weapon to have in Portland.
Mm-hmm. For sure. At my number 9 spot, I have the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, I was wondering where you were going to put him. I had no idea where to put him in mine.
Yeah, I have them more at the bottom tier of the list just because we don't really know what that chemistry is going to look like. Obviously, you have the caliber players that you have, Katie and Kyrie. Katie is an obvious top 3 player in the world every time he's healthy. So he does. You're more concerned about what Kyrie does to the locker room and how he divides these guys because you saw what happened in Boston. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really seem to be a player that everybody can get behind. And if anybody messes up that situation, it's going to be him. But I have a lot of confidence in Steve Nash going into the season and the rest of the staff that he seems to be bringing along with Mario Stoudemire and potentially Mike D'Antoni. I like where the Nets stand, but I don't know what to think of them yet. I'm not going to put them top 5 just yet. They're probably going to be there eventually throughout the course of the season if Kyrie keeps his head on his shoulders. But for right now, they stand at number 9.
At my number 9, something I don't like. I like the Celtics. At number 9. Ooh. So this is barring if they make a change. We talked about this before. They need a big man.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about. I think I said Kevin Love. You said Andre Drummond. I mean, both I think would be great fits for them.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum and Brown are a great dynamic duo. They still have Kemba. I like the Celtics as a team, and they're obviously in the East. They're going to be top 3 or 4 team. But I don't know. There were just some other teams that I thought are going to have a brighter future and have more potential to make moves. So I couldn't get them kind of any lower, I'd say, or any higher, I'd say.
I think
I
that's
didn't
kind of
love-
low for
yeah,
them.
I didn't
think
love
that's kind of low for them, just because they were Easter Conference Finals. They
Yeah.
were in the Easter Conference Finals in 2000, what was it, 18 as
Yeah, we
well?
played LeBron.
Yeah, when they played LeBron in there. So they're a team that is developing, and then Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are really reaching like the primes of their career.
Yeah.
They're both 24. I see them a little. I have them a little up on my list, but at my number 8 spot, I have the Mavs. Luka is poised to be an MVP candidate for years to come. They need complementary pieces in some way, shape, or form to complement Luka and Kristaps. Whether that's through the draft, whether that's through trade, whether it's through the draft and trades, or whether it's free agents. They need some third or fourth complementary piece to really complement them, because you didn't really have that last year. Like, you had Tim Hardaway, you had Seth Curry, but like, how much are they really going to do on a consistent basis? And yeah, I just think that their potential there is unmatched. There's a lot to fill in there. There's a lot to fill in blanks there, but Luka ceiling is through the roof.
Mhm.
So
I also have the Mavericks at 8. I was tempted to move them down, right? Down to 1. Up to 1. I always get that confused for some reason. So my another hot take, Luka 2021 MVP. I absolutely love Luka. I think he is the future of the NBA. And again, if he gets a third guy with Kristaps, they are going to be tough, especially in the West. And I think they're going to make a move through the draft, through trades. They're going to make some kind of move that's going to help their team. And a three-headed monster with a Luka, Kristaps, and just another third scorer is very good for them. So I expect that. I have them at 8, but I would be surprised if they're even better than that.
yeah, their lack of depth really hurt them in the playoff game, because once Kristaps went out, you didn't really have the complementary guy to really fill that role. So I think once they get some depth in there and a third piece to really form some sort of a big three,
Yeah.
they're gonna ascend immensely. But in my number 7 slot, I have surprise, Clippers. Clippers, I know a lot of people are gonna think this is pretty low, but they need to deal Paul George in order to succeed in the playoffs. Paul George really brings them down, and I think there are better moves to be made for them as far as chemistry wise, and they had a lot of chemistry issues going into the playoffs last year. Obviously, I think Ty Lue is going to put some drive into their dysfunctional locker room, and he's gonna bring the no nonsense, like, championship mentality. And I think that's going to benefit them. But like I said, they need to get rid of Paul George, and they need to figure out their chemistry issues in order to really be the team that we all thought they were going to be.
My number 7, I'm going to go with the Nets. Again, like you said, I don't know what the chemistry is going to look like. I think if anyone's going to be able to play with Kyrie outside of probably LeBron, it's KD. I think he'll be a good compliment. And they seem like they're friends. For a while now, I think they had good chemistry with Team USA. And I mean, they're 2 of the best offensive players in the league. You can't deny that. And if their chemistry, if they are good mesh, like, watch out, especially in the East. They could be the number 1 seed at the end of the year for sure. So I'm curious how they are, but I'm going to keep the Nets at 7 as of now.
Yeah, everyone's really confused on where to put the Nets. I saw the Nets as high as 3 in some people's power rankings, and I was like, ooh, that's too much.
Yeah.
Especially figuring the fact that we haven't seen both that duo in the entirety of that team yet.
That's another thing I talked about, or I didn't mention, is how they're gonna be fresh. Kyrie, KD are gonna be healthy. They've had a lot of time to recover, so that could be an added bonus.
Yeah, for sure. Do they still have DeAndre Jordan over there, or did they sign him on?
I believe he's still there.
All right. I hope his dreads haven't gotten longer, because if his dreads have gotten longer, he's kind of lost the bounce, the freaky athleticism. So hopefully those are a little compacted now, and he's got that bounce back, because he can be a vital piece for them.
Definitely.
At my number 6 slot, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. They definitely need one more piece to add in the offseason, and it definitely needs to be a guard, either a 2 guard or a point guard, to complement Giannis and Middleton. They have bigs in the Lopez brothers. Their big presence has done them well. Like, Brook Lopez had a hell of a run in the bubble for a long period of time too, until they were eventually eliminated. But he complemented Middleton and Giannis very well. But their guard play is much to be desired. So once that is kind of put in place, you'll see them succeed a lot more than they have in the playoffs. but Giannis is going to be Giannis, and Middleton obviously is going to be their number 2 guy. But really, where did he go from there?
Yeah.
But also they couldn't move. I had a thought to put them higher up on my list because they're going to be playing with a little more sense of urgency, just because they want Giannis to stay.
Yeah.
So
That's where I had.
I was tempted to move them up, especially with them being on pace for 63 wins last year. But I based on the playoffs and the bubble, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. That's what led me to put them higher. So my number 6, who I don't like again because I'm a huge fan of them, is the Nuggets.
Oh, that's so.
I know because I wanted, but I put the Clippers and Bucks over them because of the motivation factor, and I figured I want to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nuggets, they might have a slow start to the season because they might not play Murray and Jokic a lot. They might have to rely on other guys. I'm a believer in the Nuggets, and I really do. But I couldn't pull the trigger and get them better than the other teams. But again, I mean, Jamal Murray and Jokic, one of my favorite duos in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their future of the Nuggets is so bright, and I think they're going to win a championship or 2 in the future. But I couldn't pull the trigger. So they're Nuggets at 6 as of now.
All right. Well, speaking of teams that I thought you had too low, at my number 5 spot, I have Boston Celtics.
Okay.
The Celtics, like I said, their young core is reaching their prime. Both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are 24. They're going to look to add a big, and once they add that big, they really have a complete starting 5.
Yep.
And then you have Marcus Smart and all those other guys. You have Robert Williams coming off the bench. Hopefully, maybe they keep Ennis Cantor for keepsake role player guy.
Gordon Hayward too.
Who knows what we're going to see from Gordon Hayward. I think he's on his way out, but I think he kind of likes Boston just because he has that kind of veteran leadership role.
And he's getting paid well.
Yeah, and they paid him well,
Yeah.
but who knows what that situation is going to come out to be. But if they add a good center like a Kevin Love, like an Andre Drummond, they should be at least the 2nd favorite in the East, at least.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think they're one piece away, like you just said, and that'll be because Tatum and Brown get another year to just kind of develop. Kemba's going to be Kemba, and they get a nice kind of guy that can score but also play defense. Look out.
Exactly.
My number 5, I'm going with the Bucks. I'm not a Bucks believer, but Giannis has been too good the last couple of years, and I think he has something to prove. Like you said, the Bucks are gonna have something to prove to want to keep Giannis, and Giannis has a lot to prove that he is the player he's not just a regular season player who wins all these accolades and wins MVP, wins defensive player. He wants to win rings. I think he's going to be super motivated. Early exit in the playoffs, so he should be fresh. So I have the Bucks at 5.
Okay. At my number 4 slot, I know I have a feeling you're going to think this is a little low for them, but I have the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
Fully healthy.
At what?
At 4.
I don't. As long as they're in the top 5, I think that was good.
Yeah, I have to have them in my top 5 just based on the fact that they're going to have a fully healthy Curry, fully healthy Thompson, fully healthy Wiggins.
Yeah.
If they draft Wiseman, they are a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And they're bound to add some depth to complement Eric Paschall and Jordan Poole and company. If they have a couple key role players here and there, like you saw them add like Glenn Robinson and a couple other guys that we've seen before that really are good role players, but like their whole team once Curry and like Thompson was out for the year, that whole team was based around guys like that are usually role players but had to step up and start roles.
Yeah.
But if they add those role players and if they're smart and draft James Wiseman, they are going to be a force.
Yeah, I mean we're both in favor of that. That's a filthy starting lineup with Curry, Klay Thompson, Wiggins, Draymond, and Wiseman.
Yeah, if they had already drafted Wiseman and they just needed to add those role players, I would have them in my top 2.
Okay.
But they haven't done it yet. It's yet to be seen.
Yep.
They're being really weird about who they're potentially going to draft.
They get the real ball.
Weird about it.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Him or Anthony Edwards, if Anthony Edwards doesn't go 1, like that would be the weird. There's no need.
No.
2 of the best guards in the league and probably the best duo of all time in terms of shooting.
Yeah, that would be the equivalent of them picking up D'Angelo Russell last year. That would literally be that because there's already two guards there that you have centered your entire team around, and you're going to try to make the other guard into a 3, and then they're not going to do well.
I wasn't too mad with that happening because they knew Klay was going to be out.
Yeah.
So, but I got the D'Angelo Russell with Curry mix. I mean, it turned out well because Curry went down, but then they obviously traded him. But I don't know. I think that was necessary to get when they traded away Durant as well.
Right.
But again, if they take a guard like that in the Melo ball, Anthony Edwards, like not understand that at least bit.
Meaningless.
My number 4, I have the Clippers. I'm big on. I think Paul George. You're not a fan of him in the playoffs, but I think he's gonna. Like, he was so bad that he can't get worse. So I think he's gonna kind of be like, wow, like this is Kawhi's team. I gotta let him do his thing. I'm gonna be his sidekick. That's kind of how it reminded me of Dwayne Wade and LeBron. How the first year Dwayne Wade was still kind of the top 5, top 10 guy in the league, and then the second after the loss to the Mavericks, he was like, all right, LeBron, like you do you. Like you're the best player in the league. You do whatever you want. I'm gonna take a second fiddle to you. I think Paul George needs to do that because I don't think Kawhi's gonna tell him. Kawhi's not a guy that's gonna be like, all right, this is my team because it's just Kawhi. But I don't know what they're gonna do in terms of like Lou Williams or Montrezl Harrell. But I still think they're gonna have their core with obviously Kawhi, Paul George, and either Lou Williams or Montrezl Harrell. So I think that's why I have them as number 4.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't get behind their chemistry issues. I can't. That's why I couldn't put them in my top 5.
Yeah.
They have too many chemistry issues. I think if they make the move that I had suggested and
For Bradley Beal.
for Bradley Beal, if they make that move, they are automatically a top 5 or maybe even a top 3 team in the league. But Paul George, I think, is kind of what's holding them down.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Which is weird because he literally had his best year with the Thunder the year before.
Yeah, and then he just wasn't anything this year. He wasn't noteworthy. Was he even an All-Star this year?
No, because he was hurt. So
Yeah.
I didn't even think he was. I mean, he was still good, but nothing of his like the Thunder years of that at the end of the Pacers.
Yeah, I can't get on board with what they're doing over there. But at my number 3 slot, I have the Miami Heat.
I was wondering where you're gonna put them.
Yeah, they have a young core and they have a ton of depth. And Eric Spoelstra has proven to be a basketball genius.
So underrated. He doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah, and they're still kind of looking for the third piece, which is why I don't have them in the top 2. However, they have shown tremendous upside, tremendous team chemistry, and it's only up from here because they overachieved, and now that we're going to have the same sort of expectations for years to come because they have their whole team is centered around Jimmy Butler's big contract and a bunch of guys that they are developing through the draft.
Yep. I as well have the Heat as number 3 just for talent and depth, and Jimmy Butler really solidified himself as a top 10 player with his postseason run. I think Bam's gonna take an even bigger step. He's gonna turn into a star himself, and I think Tyler Hero's gonna take another step, as well as Kendrick Nunn. I love the Heat. I've always been a fan of the Heat. I always will be from the big days of Dwayne Wade. I think they overachieve, like you said. I think they'll be a top 2 team or number 1 in the East.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have them in the number 1 in the East going into next year for sure.
Yeah.
I don't see how you could put any team above them because there's a lot of ifs going on, and they're not really a team that you have to worry about. Other than the Goran Dragic situation and what comes of that.
Everyone
But
else
even if
should be back.
even if you do lose him, you have Kendrick Nunn, who was just an all-rookie first-team guy.
Started
So-
every game of the regular season.
Yeah, so you're not losing a lot if you lose Dragic. Like, obviously, he's your playoff leading scorer, but Kendrick Nunn is more than capable to fill that role.
I wonder if they're, just a quick question, if they would do like Tyler Hero at the 1, how they did it at the end of the year.
I would assume so because Jimmy Butler can
Yeah.
handle the ball just
Exactly.
fine. Tyler
See,
Hero can handle the ball just fine. I would
Similar
assume.
like LeBron, how he played like the point forward spot.
Yeah, I think Kendrick Nunn is more your prototypical point
Exactly,
guard,
yeah.
but if you wanted to put your best talent out there,
Yeah.
it would absolutely be Tyler Hero. But at my number 2 slot, speaking of teams with young core, I got Denver Nuggets. Their young core is so set to be dominant for years to come with Jokic, Murray, and MPJ. The development of Bol Bol will prove to be their X factor moving forward.
Needs to happen.
They need to put their lineup that they had going into
Oh my God.
with
The
their
first game.
the first couple games where they had Jokic at the 1, Bol Bol at the 3, Jeremy Grant at the 4, and
Mason
Plumlee at
Plumlee.
the 5. That is like obviously you don't have to be that extreme, but if you wanted to put him as a 4, MPJ as the 3, and then Gary Harris and Jamal Murray at the 1 and 2 with Jokic at the 5, that's a deadly lineup.
Yeah, and they still have Will Barton as of now.
Yeah.
Who started every game for them in the regular season.
Yeah, so you have so much depth, you have so much talent, and you have a lot of things to develop. But if Bol Bol develops the way that we saw glimpses of him in the bubble, where he kind of showed out in those starting roles,
Yeah.
that team is going to be a force to be reckoned with, and that's going to be a scary team for any team in the West. And we don't really know what we can see out of them in that with Bol Bol's development.
No, definitely. Especially with Jamal Murray kind of saying, like, solidifying himself as a star in this league. It was always Jokic's team. I mean, Jamal Murray, it might be his team now.
Yeah.
I mean, both they're again probably outside of, I'd say LeBron and AD, and not Kawhi and Paul George anymore, but outside of LeBron and AD, it might be Murray and Jokic.
I totally agree with that.
My number 2, I'm going with the Warriors. I think they're going to be healthy, they're going to be fresh. I'm planning on them getting James Wiseman in the draft, and we talked about their starting 5. They have something to prove. That they are still, it's kind of their league, and they're the best team in the West. And I think Curry and Clay are going to go back to their old self. I think Draymond will go back to his old self. He really hasn't been, he was not good at all last year.
Wasn't good the year before.
Yeah. He's only good.
He made the All-Star game averaging 9 points.
Like 999, yeah.
Yep.
But I think it'll be better. He needs obviously Curry and Clay around him. I think Andrew Wiggins is going to be good for him. He's another kind of third scorer for him.
Yeah. So kind of what held me back from putting obviously the unforeseen draft implications.
Has a lot to do.
But also, Draymond Green has digressed so badly. So badly. And it doesn't really seem to be getting a lot better. He just seems to be more entitled to I was that guy. Remember 2016 Game 7? I was that guy. And
ever since that, he's went down.
Yeah, it's just been a free fall. Yeah. So that's one thing that I think kind of holds them back from topping the Nuggets and the Heat and everything. But I couldn't pull the trigger on that one. But at my number 1 slot, obviously this is an obvious choice. I think everybody's got this in their power rankings right now. But the Lakers, they're defending champions. They're bound to have AD and LeBron back. It's really all they need to excel. Obviously, they're going to bring in more role players and stuff like that. They're probably going to bring back a lot of what they had this year with KCP, Caruso, Avery Bradley, those guys.
Yeah.
What I think they need to do, I said this in episode 3, they need to deal Danny Green and Kuz to get a third piece.
Yeah.
They need to get rid of them and open up a space for a third star. Not a superstar to quite the AD LeBron caliber, but just a third scorer, a third
18, 20 point scorer.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, just a guy like that, just a third option. So obviously, you can't focus all your attention on LeBron and AD and kind of leave the rest of the 3 players in the court kind of just by themselves.
Yeah.
So I think if you get that guy that brings less attention off or more attention off of them, and they kind of have to account for everybody on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny Green and Kuz are really the most expendable guys that they have on that championship roster. So I think if you get rid of them, open up room for another guy, I think you have a perfect chance to go back to back.
Yeah, I like that. What I don't want them to do is trade Rondo.
Oh yeah, they absolutely.
I think that was kind of a huge boost in the bubble, having him another playmaker. But what I saw was, in terms of Rondo, was the Clippers going after him, which I would really like because they need a leader and a playmaker for the Clippers and a point guard. So I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I want him to stay with the Lakers.
See, I don't think Rondo's the type of guy to go from a rival to another rival and then to another rival.
Yeah. No, I don't think he will. I just saw that news that the Clippers are going to pursue him because it would be a good fit. But I mean, he's not going to get a better fit than the Lakers.
Could you imagine? That would be the most toxic backcourt in the world with him and Pat Bev. That would. Oh my God, the toxicity every game. Yeah. Oh my God. Especially if they played Lonzo and the Pelicans one game. Lonzo would feel so bullied.
Right. But if they want to get a point guard that's a leader and is kind of is one of the smartest guys in the league, they go for Rondo.
Yeah.
But again, he got to stay with the Lakers.
We can't. The Lakers can't afford to lose him. They don't have any other. I don't want Caruso to be in the point guard. He showed capability. Obviously he started game 6, but I mean I don't really think that's the point guard I want moving forward. I think Rondo is definitely the guy.
Yeah, no, Rondo's big, and that's why I have the Lakers as number 1 for all the you said, and just because they have LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
They have LeBron and they have AD, best duo in the league, and I think the only thing that's going to hold them back is how much they're going to rest next year because of the new season.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're still the best team in the league, and there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is for our rankings. Now our last segment we have, or a little fun thing we wanted to end with each week. There were 2 weird things, 2 funny things that we saw or we came across this past week.
Yep. My first thing is more of less a random and weird thing and more unbelievable. Megan Thee Stallion took award over Far Superior Artist and for the best hip hop artist award at the BET Hip Hop Awards. What in the world, people? For what, a TikTok song? Are you kidding? Lil Baby had the album of the year. The 2 babies were snubbed with Lil Baby and Dub Baby. were far superior than anything Megan Thee Stallion did this year. And I think you had Drake in there too. You're gonna have Megan Thee Stallion over Drake? Drake. Drake. Come on. Like, this is why J. Cole dissed y'all and one of his recent songs, like, oh, I can't with you. This is why nobody takes you seriously. This is why. This is why nobody wants to go to those awards. This is why nobody takes that award seriously. And quite frankly, I think we should start, we saw an Oscars boycott a couple of years ago. Let's start boycotting the BET Hip Hop Awards for not recognizing music.
Right. Who is actually the best?
I'd like, oh my god, that irked me so bad. Like, for over a TikTok song, like, get over yourself. Ugh, I can't.
You want to do mine or?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do one.
All right, so this is something funny. I was, every time I look at Instagram now, if I see something funny or weird, I save it and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write this down. So I saw this. So this is in terms of the acting world. So Leonardo DiCaprio, he was named Leonardo because his pregnant mom at the time was looking at a Leonardo da Vinci painting in Italy when Leonardo DiCaprio was kicking like crazy. She said he was going crazy right when she was looking at the painting, and that's why she named him Leonardo.
Did she do, I wonder if she did like double takes of like just her stomach and then she would turn him away from the painting and then turn him back
Oh,
and see
yeah.
if he would keep
Have you seen
kicking.
that Doritos commercial when they do that with the baby?
Yeah.
You're doing that?
Yeah, I wonder if they took that approach, and because that would make a lot of sense. But if she didn't do that, that credibility is off. They're just looking in the distance. Like, come on.
I saw it on Instagram and I looked it up too. And it was I saw it in multiple sources, so it could be true.
I don't know. We gotta connect with DiCaprio's mom and see if she did the double take, because if the double take happened, then that's definitely justified.
Yeah, definitely.
My second random thing for you Kardashian fans out there, our girl, the best one, Khloe, got the cocoa, got COVID.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was looking at my.
I didn't know that.
I was looking at I was looking at Twitter. I was looking at Twitter trending because I was trying to look for something in here, and I came across that, and I was like, oh my god, like, why was this not more talked about? Like, she's the best one.
I didn't even hear that.
Ah, that's just depressing. I'm sure Tristan Thompson is the happiest person in the world, though.
Tristan Thompson, yikes.
That's the only dub Tristan Thompson's took since the championship, and he messed that up too. So.
For my second one, this is mind-boggling to me that I saw. So it's just a thing. If you had earned $180,000 every day from when Christ was born, you wouldn't be as rich as Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos' net worth is $191 billion. He's almost north of $200 billion. Just think of that. What do you do with that money?
I don't know. I think you take a Scrooge McDuck approach and just kind of dive in and make a pool out of it.
Bro, like he could solve like many of the world's problems by just giving $100 million and still have $91 billion.
Yeah, he's gonna solve those problems and still have he's gonna have over $3 billion.
He gave up half his money to his wife in the divorce.
I was just gonna say
the
that.
richest person in the world.
Yeah, the second richest person in the world is somebody that didn't do anything for a living, was just a wife. And that's a stupid amount of money that nobody needs all of that to themselves. Like you can solve like the Africa problems.
Yeah.
Right
He could
now.
literally give them water. He could solve the world hunger problem. It's $191 billion.
That's ridiculous.
Like you don't need that much money.
Not
Give me $1 billion. I'm good.
yeah. I just distribute to the broke college student fund.
Yeah.
For the love of God, like I could use this. Some like a portion of that. If you want to give me like $5K, I'm totally fine. Totally fine.
All right, so that concludes this episode. Another fun one we like to do. That was good.
Yeah, this was a fun one. We'll catch you guys next week, and I hope you guys enjoyed.